I sent an email out to Muhammad Islam, and Muhammad Islam is the supervisor for planning and development. And he had a meeting with Greater Cincinnati Waterworks. He said they've asked his department for additional information. He said he's provided them with a boundary map of the parcels, which I would want to remove from GCW. So what this is saying, what we're trying to do is Greater Cincinnati Waterworks, I guess, owns the rights to Jordan Road, and we're trying to get them transferred over to Cleves. So this has been going on for several months now. So now it's back in his department. He's got his mapping person working on the maps with Greater Cincinnati Waterworks so they can get that accomplished, and then it's got to go before the commissioners for an assessment to get transferred over to, not transferred over, but give Cleves the authority to, I guess, have the rights to the water lines once we get them installed in there. So that's where we're at on that. I just wanted to update everybody on that. And I don't think anybody here is from Jordan Road, are they? But just so, I just want to put that on the record. The other thing I wanted to talk about real quick was the Maple Grove, our cemetery fees. I just want to bring it up for discussion. I think we haven't had an increase in our fees and our graves and our opening and closings since 2019. I want to bring it up to the board, like, to increase all of the amounts by $25. It's been 3 years, so I just want to open that for discussion and see what you guys have to say about it.
We used to basically raise those just about every year when we did our organizational meeting. They got raised quite a lot. We just haven't raised them probably for 8 or 9 years.
What was the last year?
Yeah, 2019 we raised them.
19.
So
Usually it was always every 2 years.
2 years.
What we would do, yeah.
So we're on third year now, so, you got anything else?
And
No, I think it's good.
Okay. You got more discussion?
Did you change the one for the non-resident fourth lot? Did you change that number?
Change what number for non-residents?
I deleted it.
Did you delete it?
I deleted it, so it's 2,400 single lot, and then however many lots.
Right.
they
For a
want.
non-resident.
Correct.
Right, yeah, so.
The before was.
So we're gonna
2,500.
increase
Will that be effective today or March 1st?
No, I guess we'll do March 1st.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that we increase all of our amounts for our cemetery fees by $25.
Does that give you enough time to
I'll do
implement
it
that and
tonight.
everything?
Cause then you have to get all,
What should we do, April 1st or?
all the funeral homes and.
Oh, if you don't want to.
I've got all
Oh,
this, I've got all
Yeah,
the
you got it.
contract ready to go.
She's pretty formatted everything, you redid everything, right, Kim? She's got it all saved and everything done.
Okay.
I make a motion, we go ahead and increase it.
Second.
Cemeteries. All right, Mr. Ryder?
Yes.
Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Robertson?
Yes.
And that was an increase of $25 every line item.
Yeah.
The next thing I have is our Miami Township West Park. We had, was that last year or the year before, Paul? Last year, wasn't it? We had the Ohio River Foundation come in.
Last year.
They came in and they provided, over 700, they call them native live sticks, but what they are is trees, and what they are, they put them all out on the island. I don't know if everybody's familiar with it, but where our park butts up to the river, there's an island out there, and they put 700 of them all along there. Paul was involved there.
Poke a hole and put it in.
They poke a hole in the ground, put it down in there, and they did it in one day, 700 of them, which is phenomenal. But you think about what good it does, and then they came back and reassessed the situation, and they're there for erosion. And a lot of these trees have grown 2 to 3 foot, which is not straight up, but out to help with the erosion, which is wonderful. So Jessica Teague, who I've been dealing with, I think Paul dealt with the same lady. She is part of the Ohio River Foundation. They want to come in and install 500 more, and they're going to be on this side of the park. I think I need to set her up with you, Ron. She wants to, which is for erosion, that's what we want, all along the bank there, all the way up along the, riverbank on the township property there. Shows where they wanna put those, so I'll make a motion that we allow her to come in. They're coming in February 26th. They're gonna put in 500, they call them native live stakes, like I said. And then I'll make a motion that we allow them to come in. And this is no cost to the township. This is all paid for by the Ohio River Foundation, which is just absolutely wonderful that they're doing this for us.
She made a remark when she called me, when I turned it over to you. They did 7 different areas last year. For the 7 different areas that they did in the Hamilton County area, Miami Township West Park was the most successful.
Oh,
And that's the reason she wants to get it.
So she did mention that to me. That's awesome. So I'll make that a motion.
Second.
So,
Have you told her about the expansion going upriver?
I did.
What
We did talk about
purchased?
that. She said she'd be glad to come back and look at it. They come back and reevaluate to see how they grew, what they planted. So, but I did tell her we had purchased that, and she's like, well, we could add that next year. I'm like, that would be wonderful. So from me talking to her, they get these live stakes from Heritage Park and Corrigan Township, and where there's just, she said there's just numerous ones of them. They go in there and harvest them, so, which is good for Miami Township, I think, so.
Let's do a vote. Okay. Mr. Reiner?
Yes.
Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Robeson?
yes.
And that's February 20, just so you know, Ron, February 26th, they're gonna be in there.
I was there last year when they were planning.
You were there?
I was down
Okay.
there.
The next thing I have, this is the, excuse me, the 2 slips on Cliff Road. They're numbered, they're 2477 and 2665. What this is an agreement between Miami Township and Hamilton County Engineers, where we entered, well, I'll make a motion in a minute, but we're gonna enter into an agreement if it's, agreeable. The county's coming in, they applied for this grant, they got it granted to them, it's through the Ohio Public Works Commission. It's $237,771 for these 2 slips. That's on behalf of us. The, construction project, the total cost is $499,400. So the grant they're covering under Miami Township, excuse me, it's $237,771. So they sent this to me. I'll make a motion that we enter into this agreement. It's gonna be no cost to the township, and for us to approve this, and then put the bids out on Cliff Road on both the slips.
They're gonna take care of the bids and everything, right? Like, all they're doing is bidding, all they're doing is getting the grant in our name.
Correct.
Like you did before.
Correct.
So you are moving?
I'm making a motion for that.
I'll second that.
Mr. Reiner?
Yes.
Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Robeson?
Yes.
All right, next thing I have, I think everybody saw this. Well, I'm not sure if everybody saw it. I called Chief Lacy about it. Delhi Township just installed this. It's called a safe haven, baby box, and what it is, just to enlighten everybody. It is a baby box that a mother will have access to, this access to the outside of our building, where there is a monitor hooked up to it, a 911 monitor that goes to 911 and goes straight to our fire station here at Miami Township. And she puts the infant in the box. It's where they want to get rid of the baby, obviously, where they don't do something bad, or like the lady down in Mexico did. She threw it in a dumpster. She was a young kid and threw it in a dumpster. These boxes, we hope to alleviate, if it just alleviates one child, I think it's worth it. So I reached out, I saw it on Facebook, Delhi Township just did this. I called Chief Lacy, see what he thought about it. That's what they recommend. He thought it was a good idea. I think it's a good idea for our community, We're surrounded by, everyone knows with Miami Township, please ask the North Bend. It would be available to anyone in our community, and anybody outside of our community would be, eligible for it also. So, yeah, like I said, it's a 24-hour, 7-day a week. It's, the cost to it is, the initial cost is $10,000 to the township. We can go out and raise money for it. We have a contract. I have asked them for a contract so our attorney can look at it and approve it before I ask the board to approve this. But I'm bringing it up for discussion to see what you both think, see what the public thinks. I, for one, would really, really like to see us go forward with this. I think it's a wonderful idea, and like I just said a minute ago, if it saves one child's life, I think it's worth it. So I just wanted to open that up for discussion and see what you guys had to say about it.
This is part of the safe haven law, right? It's an extension of that. And under the safe haven law, they actually hand the child, they wanna turn it in to a farmer. It can't be a farmer, it has to be a specially trained person. It has to be a paramedic or an EMT or EMS person. You just can't give it to anybody. And, my concern is, you're gonna put this baby in that thing, it's just like a drop box. And then what happens if your guy's out on a fire? What happens? The way I understand it, I talked to Delhi, first I heard about it tonight, just now. But anyhow, Delhi said they took them 9 months to get it through their legal system because there's so many obligations to the fire department. Took them over 9 months to get their legal department to okay it. So I'm glad it's already gone to our guy, so he's pretty good. But, it's just an extension of the safe haven law. You have to do away with your surveillance system. Can't take any pictures of anybody who does this. No questions. They can just put it in this box. They close the box up, and once that box is closed, you can't reopen it. It does have. I think it goes to the
alert the township then,
Yeah,
or is it fire department?
It'd be an alarm.
It goes to
in here,
911
and it should go to the comm center. And Delhi has the fire chief, the police chief, the assistant chiefs hooked up to it also. They get an alarm.
Has it happened?
They just did theirs.
Oh.
There's
Yeah,
five,
they
there's
just
only
did
5 of them in the state of Ohio. There's only 5 of these boxes in the state of Ohio. 1 in the state of Florida, in Ocala, Florida. Indiana's loaded with them for some reason. It's a good thing, but I'm glad he sent it to the attorney to have him start looking at it, because it's gonna take a long time to get it approved, I think. I think I think Chief Lacy should have had a copy of it to look at to see what's all gonna be
Is
involved.
Delhi's been installed?
Delhi's installed and working.
Yeah, they're starting,
talked to
they
Doug
push
up there.
you have a ceremony and everything once you open it up. Now, just so everybody knows what Jack's talking about, it is a process, it takes a while, but the testing that goes involved in it, and the retesting, and the retesting, and the retesting, and then they retest again. You have to have certified contractors that install this, box for you. And
The $10,000 is just for the box.
It-
Contractor is different.
it is retested though every single year, and I think it's just a wonderful thing, so.
It's tested every week, really. Delhi's is tested every week by the fire department.
Right, right.
But
And I
the
didn't- I know
company
on that
selling you this
side.
comes in once a year,
Right,
and you pay a maintenance fee on that.
right, and that's correct, there are fees that go along with it every year.
2 questions. First of all, not knowing about this, what's the safety of the baby as it enters? Is there any risk of any damage, falling?
It's an incubator, and it's heated and air conditioned.
slide, okay.
Basically, once you put the baby in there, you can't get it back out. It's on the other, has to be an exterior wall, and in the interior, should be the fire department, or up here, we open it up and take the baby out.
What's
It's
the-
supposed to be done within 3 minutes. If you look at the contract that Delhi's got, that baby has to be attended to within 3 minutes, and, they have to take it to Children's Hospital. Basically, all the medic's supposed to do is make sure it doesn't look like it's been abused or anything like that, which I don't know what you're gonna do if it is, because the mother,
Right.
you're not allowed to take a surveillance camera.
What's the additional cost after the initial 10,000?
Please?
What's the additional cost after the initial 10,000, the monitoring and
There's
surveillance?
There's a
and
$300 maintenance fee on it.
How much?
Yearly, just $300, not much.
Yeah, there's that, and then you got your fee for you gotta have it checked every year. And then like, Jack said, the fire department checks it weekly, and it's I've read through this and it's a foolproof system, I think, something that we definitely need to look at and consider. So go ahead, you got anything?
So I've read about it a little bit as well in Delhi. I thought I read that there was a maybe put in one of these in Upper Ohio somewhere. I guess in general, I think I'm supportive of it in general. Maybe we could have legal counsel look into it a little bit more, maybe look and see if there's anybody that wants to partner, again, in a sponsorship role or, and share the cost with us. I'm not sure, but in general, I think it's a good thing to do, but maybe we could just explore, before it's ready to get a final vote or something.
Yeah.
You can put it in the firehouse, police station, or the hospital.
Right.
I count myself, I thought, talking to Delhi, I thought the police station would be a better place to park, cause you got somebody down there, at least through the day shift, there's a sergeant, supposed to be a sergeant and a clerk, I don't know what they got down there, but that's what they told us he was gonna have, a sergeant and a clerk. So you got people there for 8 hours, then in the comm center, sure as you get a hold of one of their officers to respond. If your fire department's on a fire, an actual working fire, my concern is who's gonna take care of that child, and how long is that child gonna have to stay in that incubator?
There's protocols.
Delhi, what they do is they send out a mutual aid run to some other department to come, but you know that's gonna take longer than 3 minutes. So that's one of my concerns, liability, but there is no liability to the fire department from the way Delhi did their contract. So I think we have to make damn sure the township's covered. I mean, and there's also responsibility to the father. If the father comes back and finds out this was done, there's a problem that can rise out of that, a legal problem.
That's all, I think that all that's covered in the contract, for as far as the township is.
Right, that's why the legal is really important.
We're just a drop-off spot, the baby's not staying, obviously, I know everyone knows that, but just real quick, and we'll move on with this. What I'm talking about is, and I'm not talking about right now, the initial fee is $10,000. After we sign the contract and we go in partnership with Safe Haven Baby Box, then we're allowed to open up fundraising activities for this and partner with people in the community that want to partner with us, make donations, what have you. So it's all covered in here. To answer your question, the annual fee is $200 a year for this, which I think is minute if it saves one life. And that's the only fee with it besides the inspection fee. That's just the annual fee for and that covers the recertification of the box by licensed contractor, maintenance of the box from expected use, unlimited repairs, parts replacement as a result of malfunction, and not a result of negligence or vandalism. So that's what that $200 goes for every year, okay? So.
One thing is, if you don't meet the criteria of Safe Haven, according to Delhi, Safe Haven protects themselves first. If you don't meet their criteria, they can take your box out.
Yeah, so it's a partnership with them, so. All
Does
right.
Safe Haven cover the installation of the box?
No.
What she said, I didn't hear.
Does Safe Haven cover the installation? No.
No.
That's a separate amount, you gotta pay a contractor and somebody.
All that's by the township and the money we raise for it, or the township did, so. All right, I got one more thing, and we'll try to move along, the discussion, we tabled this the last meeting we had. I brought up for discussion about, hiring a part-time administrator, I'm bringing it up again. Just very briefly, I think it's something the township needs, it's a part-time position that, and Mike brought it up last month, it's under the Ohio Revised Code 505.032. It spells out the powers and duties of the township administrator, even though we're talking about a part-time administrator. I just wanted to open that up for discussion again, before I make a motion on it.
The only thing I got to say, cause I'm the one that posted it last time, is we asked Mike to get information for us, and we got it handed to us at 7 o'clock tonight. So I'm still against it until I go through the information Mike got for us.
Okay.
I'm opposed to it, so I can look through that information.
And let me add this real quick before you go. And just the cost, Jack's concern was the job description, which we have, the ORC, it's been in the ORC since 1976, am I correct, Jack? Since 1976. We've looked at the budget, it's in our budget for a part-time administrator, and Jack's big concern was, which, and it should be a concern, it should be Mike's concern and my concern, about having to go back and ask the voters, which is our residents, for more money, which that will not happen in the near future for this. So it's in our budget, and that's something also I wanted to put out there for this, so.
Is it in the budget, the way the budget is now, or is still intend to take money from the COVID fund to pay the salaries in the fire
It's in
department?
our general budget now. It's in our
There's
general
money
budget
in-
now.
It's not budgeted, but it is, there's money in the general fund that can
General
be
fund,
budgeted.
that's what I should have said.
Yeah, general
You
fund.
see the general fund having to go back to the voters soon?
No. Not with a part-timer.
So this is a part-time position we're talking about, anywhere between 20 to 30, 32 hours a week. So you wanna comment anything?
Sure, I apologize for the late, getting the information to us, to everyone late. When I was at the Ohio Township Association conference, I had a lot of discussions, and it just further reiterated in my mind the need for this. We are a member of CLOUT, which is essentially a group within the Ohio Township Association for larger townships, and there are 1,308 townships in the state of Ohio. There are 68 CLOUT members, so 68 townships that are part of the larger townships. They couldn't give me an exact number, but they estimated that approximately 400 of the 1,308 townships have administrators. That makes sense. So 1,308, about 400 of them have administrators. We're considered in the largest 68 of those, and we don't have an administrator. You know, again, I said this the last time, that out of the 49 jurisdictions in Hamilton County, is, to the best of my knowledge and discussions and everything else, we are one of 3 township cities or villages that don't have a village or city manager or a township administrator. So I just, you know, I've read a lot about this. I've had a lot of conversations with our neighboring township trustees and at different committees and functions and events. And I just think, you know, we've grown to a size where we need this. It just makes sense to me. There's a lot of things in reviewing some of the job descriptions at some of these other townships that we pulled that I think would serve us very well. And I'm still frustrated that we don't have a census number, but I expect that we're gonna see an even larger number once the census comes out and where we are. So yeah, like Dan said and Cindy said, we can afford it in the general fund, so I think I support this.
Anything from the public? Anybody wanna comment?
Yeah, okay, this administrator, what is a need? What does he do? What's his job?
Well, I have a whole.
Our job, basically our job.
That's not true.
A lot of it is our job. And here it is, it right there, you wanna read it, he gave
It's
it
not
to
true. I got a whole page here, it's been on the Ohio Revised Code since 1976.
Okay, but I mean, what?
Well, I can read the whole page through here, I
No,
can give it to you
no,
after the meeting.
just short, why is it all of a sudden that, I mean, why is this needed?
It isn't all of a sudden.
No, I mean,
It's been on
it's,
for a long
we've been-
what I'm saying is it just, just because somebody else has it, do you really need it?
Well, that is not the reason we're pursuing this. In my professional opinion, and I've been here 8 years, I'm on my 9th year, I think we need it. And that's why we wanna start out on a part-time basis to see what an administrator can help us with and what he can help with the township. I think it's in the best interest of the Wyoming Township, that's what I believe. And like I said, I'm on my 9th year here. I've been, not that this matters, but I've been with the, Common Police Court in Hamilton County for 33 years down there. And I've been in administration down there, I'm the assignment commissioner, and not that that has to do with township, but it goes right along the lines with having to run departments and court and everything else, so. I'll give you this page, or I'll talk to you about it afterwards too, there's a lot of things. And one of my big things is, that I'm seeing right now, is, grants that's going around right now. There's thousands and thousands of grants out there. And I'm not saying, and I've applied for grants since I've been here. Jack's applied for grants, Paul's applied for grants when he was here. But it's the grants that we don't apply for that an administrator can help us with. They help us, that's one of the big issues for me. Because Madeira, I just saw on Facebook, Madeira just signed a grant, $3.5 million for infrastructure grant. The city of Madeira over on the east side of town. The Ohio Township just got a grant, I can't remember the amount, do you remember the amount? But they got a grant for 4 projects in their township that they applied, their administrator applied for, not their trustees, that they applied for and they received. And numerous other municipalities throughout Hamilton County. I just think that we're losing out on just that one aspect. But this part-time administrator can help us in a ton of different ways. Now, what Jack believes, and that's true, maybe some of it is our duties, but we've been pulling these duties since we ran for this office, and I'm not complaining at all about it. But I'm just saying, the administrator by the ORC is put in to help you, to assist you in running the township and helping the board, and it specifically states that in here. So, anybody else got a question? Go ahead, Mr. Miller.
Are this administrator gonna be somebody in our township or somebody from the other side of the world?
We don't have nobody picked out.
No, I'm just asking that.
I don't think that's gonna be a requirement to be.
Okay, that's all I'm asking.
Okay, so I think we need to, have an open mind, I mean, and if someone from outside applies and they're very well experienced or qualified, I think it's somebody we need to consider, what's the best interest of Miami Township for. So, all right, yes, ma'am.
Well, maybe we should take this here out to the public also. I mean, you wanna take everything else, maybe we should have meetings on this.
I'll just say one thing, I sat at that table for 40 years. And I had the pleasure in my daily work that I could spend time doing whatever. And I will tell you, just today, I spent 5 hours on fire department with the new building, with requests for payroll, records. Just 5 hours a day on that, plus I'm here tonight. And tomorrow, I got a meeting tomorrow, a virtual meeting at 11 o'clock. Friday morning, I got in reference to the roundabout. And the board has let me do these things as continuing, but this is something a lot of administrators would handle on a day-to-day basis. And if a guy's working a regular job, it's mighty tough to be able to be available on a 3 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon or 8 o'clock on a Wednesday morning, whatever. And I had the pleasure, I could do it. 2 of these guys have full-time jobs. It's tough. And I think from a standpoint of a part-time administrator, my knowledge of what I did for 40 years, I think it's at a time where if the money is there, it would be money well spent, plus an emphasis on grants. That's something that we've done, but we've done it on a limited basis, and we need somebody that, can be available on a daily basis. And, I'm not, from a retired township trustee, I'm not against it. For what I'm doing right now is to help to get through this. That's something an administrator could be doing.
Brian?
Yeah, first, is the information that was provided to the township trustees gonna be available to the general public?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear it.
The information that was just provided to the Miami Township trustees on what this administrator would do, the information that Jack
Yeah,
referred
we
to, is that
can give
available?
you
to
that.
Dan just said to this gentleman right here, if he wants to
Yeah, we
copy
can give
this
you
or
that.
whatever else.
Perfect, okay.
It's a job, I'll tell you what it is, it's the ORC, it's the Ohio Revised Code with the township administrator, and it's also the job description from Sims Township, and it's the job description from, Delhi.
I'm working on another.
Is what it is, and it's just,
Filing ours.
that's what Jack requested, and that's, Mike got him, and that's, he supplied it.
And I
to us.
also requested what we intend to do, would fit in with Miami Township. I requested that. Okay, also.
Well, I don't think we can itemize that, Jack, I think.
Because you don't
I
know
think-
when we do yet.
Well, sure I do, this very first page tells you everything about it, everything.
I think you better wait until you see what happens as far as the police contract. You wanna see numbers, you're gonna go from 500,000 a year to 664,000 is what they want. That starts next, 2023, next year, that's starting.
I know,
Is there another 164,000 in the general fund?
I thought we just talked about our levy on.
That police goes out of the police fund,
That's right, it pays for it out of the police fund at the $500,000, not at $664,000. Which is what it's gonna go to in 2023.
Okay, Mr. Hughes?
The only concern I have, this is all new, you gotta look at your employees now. All of a sudden, you're talking about hiring an administrator, correct? I mean, part-time, and that's fine, but you got some real good leaders in the township. So I hope the person that you pick blends in with the people that are running this township on a daily basis. You know what I'm saying? Somebody
Well, I
that.
hope so too.
I mean, because Miami Ford, for instance, you know, they're gonna be shut down for what, 2027, definitely? Or before?
It looks, maybe 24.
It looks like it's gonna be
the other day.
before that now, considering.
The bid process.
Nobody picking up the cost of the electric that they're making, nobody out there is buying that electric, and if they don't buy that electric and get into a contract, they'll shut it down quickly. And I don't know what,
well, it was about 500,000.
Is that what, okay, I don't, oh, okay.
But that's
That's
over all the funds, I mean, the.
yeah, but it, yeah, okay, thank you.
General, yeah.
Yeah, I knew it was, but it doesn't look
It'll
promising.
affect the
now.
fire, the police, the.
General.
General, yeah.
Zimmer's going down in what, May? They're shutting Zimmer down in May. That was also on the block to go to 2027. They're shutting it down in May. My manager down here says if we don't get a contract to sell our electric, we're not gonna stay open.
Yeah.
They can't generate and not get a
No
profit.
place for it to go.
Yeah, I mean, these are things that you get, you know.
And we keep talking about grants, is there any grants out there that would help with police protection?
And there might be, I don't know, Jack, if you ever applied for
There's specific grants for specific things like radar, or like, the scanner, they can scan license plates. There's certain grants for that, not for, like the TIF fund, you can't use TIF fund for personnel. Our TIF fund's okay.
No, I'll tell you this, and I haven't told the board or anybody this, but the board knows that I applied for a grant last year in 2021, and it was American Rescue Plan Act, and it was through the state of Ohio, the federal grant. And we received $571,000 for that grant. And then coming up in July of this year, we're gonna receive another $571,000, which is a total of like one point something, 400,000 or 40,000. $1 million is pretty much what it is.
But that has to be spent by 24, right?
So that's correct, we gotta
Has to
spend
be
that money
gone
by
by
2024. So, but one of the things we're allowed to do in there is use it can use it for all kinds of COVID relief stuff that we have spent money on, for the fire department, for the police department, with equipment we've had to buy, with all kinds of stuff. Now, your question was, but that's one of the things I've applied for and we've got. So not specifically toward the police, but we're allowed to use it for that. We haven't had any plans for that yet, so, you know, that's what it is. Anybody else got a question? Go ahead, Mr. Moore.
You have any idea what this administrator is gonna make a year?
We do. We're capping it at, we want to cap it at 50,000 as a part-time position.
So
Now, it could be
I think-
35, 40, depending on experience.
But I see the same thing that Mr. Hughes said, we got a lot of good people here that's been here for a long time, and you bring
I
somebody
agree.
that's gonna be over top of them, we're
I
gonna
agree.
wind up losing them guys, that's my opinion.
We wind up losing what?
We're gonna wind up losing the guys that's been here for a long time.
Why would we lose people?
Somebody's gonna be over top of them making more than they're making.
Different too.
They can apply for it.
Right.
Am I right or am I
It's an
wrong?
open application.
What's that?
I can't help that, I mean, that's.
I'm just asking, that's all I'm doing.
A full-time administrator, if you have any idea, makes over $100,000.
I don't have no idea.
Well, I'm telling you, Simmons Township's administrator, which is same size as Miami Township, they have more businesses than we do. They make over $100,000 in Simmons Township. Their population is right around the same as Miami Township.
Like Dan said, I think that we would put it out with the job posting, that it would be negotiable, you know, based on experience and what they bring to the table.
But it is a part-time job.
Correct.
Yeah.
No, but shouldn't be any benefits in a part-time job, right?
Dan, could I make a comment real quick? Just to address his concern.
It's 4 days after
If you
5 days.
involve your people into the interview process, and I mean really involve them in it, they're gonna buy in whoever it is that's selected. And the person who comes in as the administrator is gonna have to buy into those people too. Having been an administrator, that's sort of how it works. And if it doesn't work that way, the administrator won't stay long. I mean, they really won't. The people that work here will stay here. They're not gonna just leave. But I really, that is not an issue I have, or concern I would have. The concern I would have goes back to budget. You know, we don't know what the economy's gonna do. It's not doing real well right now, if you really take a look at it. You got all this inflation going on. You got the unknown of the power plants. You don't know what the police department is. But I don't think that this necessarily holds up you guys taking a look at this. So, I mean, that's just my view of it.
Okay, thank you.
That's a good point. Taking a look is one thing, but going out and, you know, actually starting a process is something different. This township has always prided itself on being conservative and thrifty. It's got probably the second lowest taxes in Hamilton County. I can guarantee you that this general fund levy is gonna be asked for an increase before long. If we do this, I can guarantee you that.
Our fiscal officer just sat there and said that that's
You
not.
just, you can't control things, you can't control Duke.
Well, I do worry about Duke, I do worry about that.
And you told us
Well, we
yourself,
can't
you
wait.
wanted to do it 2 years ago, or
We
last
can't wait
year,
5
didn't you?
years.
Oh, what?
and see
Put an
what-
increase on the general fund?
Yeah, we
Okay.
talked about it
Last
last
year,
year, and the
so-
board did.
Didn't
board-
do it.
Right,
But
so,
Things are coming, you just can't, you know.
right, I do worry about, we all do.
My concern is these people are working to take care of their families, they're not working to take care of, some things. A lot of things are nice to have, and some things you have to have. Administrator would be nice to have, but until you know what your finances are,
We do know
several
what our
years
finances are.
out, you don't know.
Well, we don't know several years out, you can't run a township and wait 7 years to do one small task, and hire one individual.
And vote, take
And
your
wait
vote
7
and
years
go.
to see if
And
a
take
power
your vote
plant
and go.
goes.
Yeah. You
Well, that's
just
what I'm
go
getting
do
ready
it.
to do, but my point I'm trying to make is, if we hire somebody part-time, and in 3 years it doesn't work out, or the power plant closes, our general fund is shrink because of the power plant, we can lay the person off.
You keep talking about the grants you're gonna get, you think you're gonna get, then why don't you tie this salary into his grant? Well, he has to he has to bring in twice the money he's getting paid. There's a lot of contracts for administrators written that way.
Well, you can do, I mean.
You
we're
can
gonna
do that.
You can do that.
If he
You're
does
on
it-
the board,
if he-
you
if
have
he
a
does
say
it-
in this,
that's-
when
no,
you do the
no, you
interview
guys did this
process.
at your own leisure downtown, you know it and I know it, when this was done. But I'm just telling you that this contract should be where he generates income to the township, that's what you're banking it on grants.
We're not banking it on that, but that's one of the top priorities I would like to see.
Okay.
Definitely would like to see, I'm seeing on Facebook 3.5 million Madeira just got from their administrator that he applied for grants. Delhi's putting it all out there, that they just got enough money for four projects that they're working on in 2022. Did you see that, Wayne?
All those
So-
guys got full-time administrators, right?
There are full-time administrators. And that's what I mean, if we have a part-time administrator, it doesn't work out, we can either terminate them, lay them off, whatever. We've got alternatives to do if the power plant closes. So, anybody else got anything?
I just have one comment.
Okay.
I think the question you gotta answer is, what does a part-time administrator, how does that improve the services that Miami Township provides to the citizens of the town?
This whole front sheet of paper with the ORC,
Saying that's the
will give you
question that's
that,
gotta be
and it's all on there.
So for me, I've talked to other administrators of other townships when I was getting job descriptions. They said that they have a township administrator association, their own network, and that they meet on a regular basis, and that they talk about best practices. And they said it's invaluable what they take away from some of those things and bring back to their own townships and improve the operation with different ideas and creative and bounce things off of each other and all that stuff. So they're telling me that, having that person in place, looking out for things on a regular basis and bringing back best practices, policies, procedures and ideas, and just, it pays for itself. Then you've got, again, if there's an emphasis, and there would be clearly by this discussion, that we would put on trying to secure grants, and the last meeting, we talked about it, and several people, even from the public, said that, that position can pay for itself in bringing in, and it's not just grants, I mean, there's capital improvement funds and things from the state level. It's not necessarily a grant, but just you going out there and asking for projects to be funded, and just exploring those things, and that's where they'll say, hey, we're talking to other administrators, and they just went and secured this, and this funding, or made whatever more efficient here. They said it's just, so I think by starting as a part-time is a more prudent, conservative approach. It's not, I guess, putting us out there for some huge salary. And I think that Dan, proposal to say, let's see how this works, let's see we don't even know what kind of a qualified, quality individual we're gonna get. They could knock our socks off and we could be, he or she could be just incredible. But if we're just gonna continue to push it off, there's always gonna be unknowns. There's always gonna be concerns and issues and what ifs and everything else. I agree, I think that the time is right, and, I support it, so.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, I just wanna add, Mike,
All right.
all I heard from there is just, let's wait and see.
No,
That doesn't sound like a good approach.
No, it's not.
I mean, that's exactly what you just said. We said,
I said I talked to them
you just
also.
said we don't know what we're gonna get, right? We might get a
As
great
far as-
person that's gonna knock our socks off, you don't know.
Right.
I mean, you're taking a wait and see approach. And, to Jack's point, I really think that you gotta have this nailed down as to, what you really hope to accomplish from this person. Because all I've heard is grants, and then Paul brought up that he helps with payroll, this person might help with payroll. Right, and I haven't heard yet a lot of talk about the services that are going to improve in Miami Township for Miami Township citizens based on hiring this person.
He didn't say that about payroll.
Oh, I thought you just said he's
No.
been 5
And that was
hours
a-
to put on
That's
payroll.
fine.
that was a request from a unionized company wanting records of payroll for the new
Yeah, that's
firehouse.
just prevailing wage. That's
Prevailing
nothing to
wage,
do with- Yeah.
which had nothing to do with our
Payroll,
employees'
our
payroll.
payroll.
That
But
was
it's
contractors.
assistance that you provided that an administrator would
Well,
have done, right? Is that what you're trying to say?
Administrator could have done what I did today, but.
Okay, that's the only point I'm trying to.
You know, and
get.
that was just a minor thing, but, grants are one thing, but, you know, I look at purchasing. We are a little haphazard on the way we purchase. We use the state unified purchasing, which is great, but there's areas that I think we could be a little smarter. And I'm not a proposal of a full-time administrator, but I think it's at a time when a part-time administrator, and I know the time that I spent doing day-to-day stuff, an administrator could be doing those things and a savings to the township when it comes, especially to purchasing. It just, we get the thing done, but I don't know if it's always the best for the community as far as the taxpayer. I think we could do a little better.
And if I can clarify, I mean, when you say wait, yeah, it would be illegal if I already had somebody in mind. I don't have anyone in mind. I have no idea what kind of applicants we're gonna get and what kind of quality, individuals we're gonna get. That's the process we have to go through, is to create the job posting, put it out there, and then see what kind of, folks we get. So when I'm saying wait and see, or let's, that's not, that we don't have ideas of what this individual is going to do, and again, we've talked about some of the ways that they can improve our operation and bring in additional funding. All I'm saying is when the wait and see is what we have to do our due diligence and try to hire the right individual with the right background, with the right chemistry with our staff, and see what, they can do. And so
And before I make this motion real quick, well, Paul just brought up, what Chief Lacy is involved in on that big firehouse, how many hundreds of thousands of hours you put in on that, when that's one of the things the administrator would help us with. From researching furniture, where we were just in a meeting about it, where trying to save us, dollars, which him and another firewoman researched, and saved us like $20,000 or $30,000 before we voted on it. So just that in itself is something an administrator, where that's taking him away from the fire department, that can help us with. That's just one example, besides the grants, besides everything else.
For 20 hours a week, right?
What?
For 20 hours a week, he's gonna do all that. You said part-time.
I don't think
I did say part-time. We haven't set hours yet. We haven't set hours yet, and I'm not going into detail before I make this. And I just worked on another problem that we had pop up in our township, and I worked on this while I was at work, not at work, on my lunch. But I put in probably 5 hours on this problem this week, and trying to get it straightened out. And that's one of the other things, that you need an administrator for. And I don't know what you do, Brian, but where I'm at, I have fires pop up every single day that I'm putting out, small ones and big ones. And that's part of the administrator's job, would be that. But I'll give you this list, and in front of the ORC spells it out pretty clearly, it really does. And I'm not trying to be short about it, but it does spell it out. And I'll give anybody else here who wants one too, and you can see it and recognize it. But I'll make a motion that we move forward with the hiring of a part-time administrator from Laramie Township. I believe, being the president of the board, that it's the best interest of Laramie Township.
And I second that.
Mr. Ryder?
No.
Mr. Blaney?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
All right, motion to, anything else from the public? Motion to adjourn,
So move.
second?
So I